as he said, I'm George Allison, K1IG, and I've been licensed about 63 years now. In my ham radio career, I've seen there are a lot of awards and commendations that people can get, but some of them are pretty hard to get. Things like DXEC Honor Roll, we certainly all can't get that. And it can't be all Ham of the Year or Division Director. There is, however, one recognition that every one of us will someday achieve, and that's Silent Key. So what I'm going to talk to you here about is how to get your own affairs in order for your ham estate and what to do if they're not. So it's just two things on the agenda. We're going to talk about estate planning, what to do about your ham gear and what you should be doing to make sure it's ready when you go up to the great ham shack in the sky. However, it's my experience as a ham club president and having been involved with this that never in the history of ham radio has anybody ever done that. So what we're going to talk about next is what to do if there's no planning and what your club may have to do or may not want to do, or how you can kind of get things going and maybe help your club out and help the members of your club out with this. Can you turn the screen so I can see it, because I need to see the slides there. Yeah. Okay, so your ham estate. One of the guarantees, as I said, like death and taxes, this is going to happen. So it's something that you need to do, not just for your ham radio things, but for everything you got. You got to plan for the future and make sure these things are taken care of, because it's really not fair to your family and your heirs to have all this stuff and they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what this stuff is. And unless they're hams, they have no idea. They barely know that the ham shack exists. For the estate sales I've been in, the family knows it's down there in the basement or in the guest bedroom or something, but they have no idea what it is, how it's connected, what it's worth, or what to do with it. And they're just clueless about this, so they need help. Fortunately, ARL can help. And what I wanted to go start with first is how you can get your affairs in order with a little help from the ARL. So there's an estate planning workbook, and I've got it right here. Hold it up there in the light. You can get this from the league. If you visit headquarters, they've got these things you can just pick up. I think they'll mail it to you. But better than that, you can go to the website and just go to the search box and click on estate planning, and this thing will come up and you can download the whole thing. You're probably going to have to end up, even if you get the book, you're going to have to download some pages because you're going to need more pages than are just here. But this contains a lot of good planning information and then inventory sheets. And you can fill it out and carefully list everything you've got. And I'll go over some of the things that are in here, but really get your affairs in order. One of the best things this is, though, once you get this inventory done, this is your guidebook for your family. You can take them down on a tour of the shack and say, here's what I've got. See, it's in the book, and here it all is. Or go up to the crawl space in the attic or out to the garage and say, this is where all this stuff is. Because again, they won't know. So it's a good resource for this guided tour of your station that you can do. So here's what is going to go in here when you fill it out. You're going to list everything you've got, when you got it, and how much you paid for it, and what your estimated value is, and try and be realistic on this. Any mods you've got, and this is really important too. There are a lot of gear like the Elecraft K3. Depending on the mods in there, this thing, even though they're two radios, one serial number apart, they can range in resale value from about $200 up to $2,000, depending on what's been stuck in there. And unless you're a real expert on Elecraft gear, you can't tell by looking at it. So you're able to document all this stuff in here with all the mods and everything you've done to it. And then where it is. Is it in the shack? Is it in the crawl space in the attic? Or is it in the car or in the garage or somewhere? So they'll know where the stuff is when they have to get rid of it. And then you can list in there what you want done with it. You want to donate it to the club or somewhere else? You want them to sell it or just throw it away? And then a lot of entries for points of contact, who they should call when the end comes. Do they call the club president? Is there someone else they can call? You can put your lawyer in here or your will executor as well. So all in all, this is a great planning tool for you, and I strongly recommend that you have a club meeting devoted to this thing and tell everybody what they can do to get their affairs in order and really to make your life easier too when you might have to help out with this stuff. So any questions on the preparation? Yeah.
So what if you told your wife that the radio that's worth $7,000 cost $450? So you now have to come clean?
Yes.
Well, she doesn't have to look at it until you're gone.
So she doesn't get to read this until
seal it until you got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, my wife found this document, which is why she's using it.
Okay. So.
Space to put photos of the radios too, because some may not know.
It's got a lot of space in there. There's if you wanted to put a photo in there, I'd say download the page and you can do a cut and paste if you've got something like that. So your ham estate. The best thing to do is get rid of the stuff before you go. I know all hams have got shelves full of stuff in the crawl space and in the attic and stuff. If you haven't used the stuff in 10 years, you're probably not going to use it again. So get rid of it now. It's usually not like fine wine. It's not going to increase in value. So, yeah. Resources where you can get rid of this stuff. Bring it to the swap meet. Bring it to the flea markets. A couple of places, things I'll talk about here. HamEstate.com, which are actually they're the sponsors of this. So they got big full-page ads in this book. HamEstate.com and Schulman Auction will dispose of your gear if you contact them. They're not cheap. They're going to take a big slice off the top, but they will take just about all of it. They won't take the real junk, but they'll take your old transceivers and stuff like that. I've got the eBay and QRZ in parentheses because unless you are experienced with that, it's easy to get ripped off. So that might be a last resort, but that can be good for getting rid of gear, rid of stuff. But again, the first bullet there is the operative one. So dispose of the stuff before you go so it's not left to your heirs to take care of it. So what if there is no planning? Now what do you do? Well, what most hams do, as I found out, is they just say, hey, on their deathbed, just call the club. They'll take care of everything. So that, and then as club president, we get the call. So what are you going to do? Well, you got kind of two options. One is do nothing. You're not under any obligation, legal obligation in your club to dispose of this stuff, although it might be to your benefit to do this because it enforces, brings up camaraderie in the club and can really benefit your club too. Or you can take care of things. So let's talk about how we're going to do that. If you get the call, the first thing you tell them is don't touch anything because there are two reasons on this. First, the power supplies may still be energized. A lot of hams leave their stuff energized all the time. And if people start ripping wires out, you don't know what's still attached to them. So just tell them, leave it alone. We'll be over there shortly. The other reason for that, though, is if they start ripping stuff out, it's all going to go in a big pile. And all these proprietary cables and all this stuff is all going to get smashed together, the special wall warts that go with something. And you're going to have this rat's nest of stuff you're trying to figure out. So just say, don't touch anything, we'll be there. So now you got to assemble your team. Now this is all it's not different people you need. These are the functions. It may all be one guy who's doing this at first, but these are the things you're going to have to look into. The safety officer, he's the one who's going to say, is this stuff still energized? Is any breakers we need to throw before we start ripping things out? You want a flea market specialist, someone who can look at the gear and have a quick idea of what this stuff is worth. A photographer, you want to take pictures, lots of pictures. You're protecting yourself to make sure that you're not going to be accused of ripping stuff off. Plus, it's going to help a lot with your advertising, too, as we'll see a little later. You want a scribe who's going to notate all this stuff, and then the negotiator will discuss that. Some legal thoughts. Does the person you're dealing with have authority to dispose of this stuff? You may not know the family. So you want to make sure that the person you're talking to there is the one who's authorized to get rid of it. And it's not, you're not going to be bitten later by the executor coming back and saying, well, you shouldn't have done that. Should you get something in writing? And this is kind of up to you. I'm not giving legal advice here, but if you know this Ham, and he's been in the club for 20 years, so you know the family, you may not need anything. It's going to be all informal. If you don't know him, you may want to document everything so that you're protected here. Again, not giving legal advice, but it's probably a good idea. Okay, so we're going to visit the shack. And what we're going to do is negotiate the disposal terms. What does the family want to do with this stuff? So who gets the proceeds? And I've seen all three of these happen. The family says, okay, you take care of it, but we want the money. Or they say, most likely, in about probably 3/4 of the incidents, what they say is just take it and go. And while you're there, could you take the table saw and the air compressor and all this other stuff? Well, we're not, 1-800-JUNK, but we'll take the Ham gear. But if they've got good stuff, we'll advertise that too. Or is there going to be some percentage where they'll say, okay, you can take the junk, but if there's something valuable, then we want it. And then what's the timeline? Are they in a hurry to get rid of this stuff? And here, this might affect them. They say, hey, we're moving out next week. So you might want to just scoop everything up and store it somewhere while you deal with it. Or you have a lot of time to deal with this too. You want to search and photograph. Go up to the crawl spaces if you can get permission. Go out to the car, check the mobile rigs, or anywhere else in the garage they might have stuff, and get a good look and do your inventory. Antennas and towers. If you have your 100-foot Big Bertha with the stacked Force 12 antennas, figure out how much that costs, multiply by about 3, and put that money aside, because that's about what it's going to cost to dispose of this stuff. Usually disposal of a big antenna tower like that costs more than putting it up in the first place without the legal fees, of course. But this is a separate thing we will talk about here too. So inventory. As I said, search the house and the cars as best you can. Take photographs and write all this stuff down. Then research the equipment. You don't want to assume valuations like that Elecraft gear. In one case, we got a thing. In fact, I had it in the car, but I didn't bring it in here. A thing called a mini VNA. It looks just like a nano VNA, but there's no screen on it. Now, a nano VNA was like $50 or something, brand new. The mini VNA, you think, oh, that's $50. In the DX engineering catalog, it's $450. And there's no way of knowing without inventory or researching all this stuff. So go online, you can go to eBay, see what the last good price of it was, or QRZ, and get a good estimate. And check the mods. Get somebody who's the Elecraft expert or something else to actually open the top up, look inside, and see what filters they've got and all the other mods they may have put in there. One thing on the inventory. We got called over to one house, and they were, the grandfather had died. Oh no, the father had died, so they had the sons there who were in their 40s or so, and they were getting ready to sell the house to get rid of it. So they had taken all the Ham gear and just disconnected everything and tossed it into a closet, just stacked in this closet, floor to ceiling. Most of it was just old manuals and things, old QSTs and license manuals. So we were kind of digging through that, and nothing really of much was in there. I was getting ready to leave, and I just happened to pull up a page of one of the manuals, and there was this shiny thing there. So I dug stuff out, and what I saw buried at the very bottom of this stack was this, a brand new, out of the box Flex 6600. So I said to the son, hey, you know what this is? He said, no idea. You know what it's worth? No. I said, I could have said, if I was a less honest person, I could have said, oh, it's an old obsolete power supply, give you $40 for it. And he would have said, okay. But we got our eBay expert in there, and he did get him about $3,500 or $4,000 for this thing. So again, you really got to search and dig up stuff to see what's there, because you never know what you're going to find. So what are you going to do to get rid of it now? High value items, the things that are actually worth something. in production gear. If he's got a transceiver like a 7300 or something that's still being sold, it's probably worth almost what he paid for it, depending on cosmetic condition. The next big thing that is of high value, telegraph keys. These are like gold, especially old ones, old antique telegraph keys. I've got a telegraph key. Got it when I was first licensed. Went down to Radio Row in New York City. Paid 75 cents for this. It's now selling for $85. So there's going to be a big market for these things. These things, very valuable for auctions and things. Coax switches and cables. Those alpha delta switches that are like $130 to $150, even if they're old, they're still in great demand. Test gear and tools, the antenna analyzers and power pole crimpers, things like that, really valuable. And those are the things that are worth more sometimes than the old transceivers. So we'll have a strip the shack. We've taken photographs and we notify the club of what we've got, and we start, we have an online auction for it. So we'll send out an email, list all the gear, and along with links to, say, the manufacturer's websites or other online documentation of what this stuff is, just to build up the appetite for it and start getting bids online. So for Strip the Shack, what we'll do is tell people, okay, you can get a discount on this stuff if they'll come over and help us take it out. And this is disassembling all those coax switches that have been screwed into the wall and taking the stuff out of the shack. This usually gets a pretty good response. And again, we're doing this for the club. And this is, again, if they're saying just get rid of this stuff and we don't care about the money. So we'll give them a 75% discount on what we were going to auction it off, and they'll help us cart the stuff away. And then we auction it to the club. And I say clubs because we try to put a big, broad sweep on this thing and notify other clubs around if they're interested in this stuff too. Again, eBay, QRZ are in parentheses here because that's kind of our last resort. Before that would be the flea markets or other kind of informal things, or face-to-face things that we can do to get rid of the stuff. And the big thing is we can build our club loaner with this stuff. So we've assembled 2 complete HF shacks, and we have them in big plastic bins. So they've got and good stuff too, a 7300 with a good power supply, antenna tuners and analyzers, and all the cabling they need to get a whole shack together in one afternoon. And it's all been free through the generosity of the Silent Key estates. So antennas and towers, special case, the most difficult items, because usually the hams have spent maybe over $20,000 putting up an antenna tower, and we have to tell them, well, we really can't do much for you, and it's probably not worth much anyway. You don't want to incur any liability in your club, so do not agree to take the thing down or do anything like that. If somebody in the club wants it, tell them to hire professionals and leave. Let the buyer negotiate separately. Just tell the heirs, I've got somebody in mind. They'll call you directly, and they can work out between themselves what they're going to do. But you don't want your club to be responsible for the tower coming down. You may have heard about there was an accident a few years ago. Family of the Silent Key was taking down the antenna tower, and it fell down into the power lines and electrocuted 3 people on the ground. So you don't want to be involved in that. Just get the professionals to do this stuff. In a lot of cases, club members have helped the Silent Key put up the wire antennas. That's probably pretty easy to take down, but don't get involved in something that might be beyond your club's insurance policy. Yeah.
I can recall the first Silent Key estate that I helped with. I showed up at the initial point of contact between the club president, not you, and the heirs. And the last thing the club president, the Silent Key had a tower attached to an enormous cast concrete base. It wasn't going anywhere. And the last thing the president did before leaving the site was to cut all the coax going into the house outside the house, because he did not want to let lightning into the house, particularly when it was unoccupied. No one else was going to be living there until it was sold.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. If you're not experienced in towers, you probably won't recognize rust at the bottom and the other corrosion things that can happen to them. Yeah.
But most of the hams that have died in tower accidents have been done exactly that. They take the tower down until they drop the last guy wires, and the corrosion at the base of the tower causes the rest of the tower to collapse. Yep. So be particularly careful of that. Yeah,
these towers are dangerous things, and usually they're just scrap metal anyway. Even if they paid $10,000 or $20,000 for this installation, if it's 10 or 20 years old, it might just not be worth anything. But you never know. There can be a market for these things, but let the buyer and seller negotiate between themselves. So with that, any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, so over the years, we've done a number of estates, and some of them have been, as you described there, where they say, just take it away. And other ones were ones where we negotiated a percentage. But what we would do is we would have a cutoff point, and I would say that, well, we're going to take everything we're going to take everything away from here now. And then I would say within 60 or 90 days, whatever we chose, we're going to make every effort that we can to sell all of this stuff for as much as we possibly can, and we're going to give you the bulk of it, but we take a percentage. After that 60 or 90 days, everything becomes our possession. And those are the type of things that we would bring to the flea markets, et cetera. When we had a home club, when we had a club station, I used to have a flea market every week. I'd have tables set out with items from, some of the things like that. And it was one of the things that actually drew a lot of people to the club. Along with the free coffee, they would come and they would poke through this. Oh, what about this cable or switch? So that's how we did it.
Yeah. So at our club, we got a freebie table at every meeting where we'll have things like that, or just bring things in for low price sales. Yeah.
So we've done several estates, and I agree with everything that you said. We typically take a 10% commission on the sales for everything that goes. What we do is we list the items on our website. So photographs, a description of the condition, et cetera. We're able to sell, I don't know, maybe 25% of the stuff off the website. The remainder of it goes to either our flea market or auction fundraisers, and that's where we liquidate the rest of it. But it is a lot of work.
It is,
I probably have put in, 15, 20 hours per estate with all the cleaning equipment, photographing, getting it all ready, and getting the website set up and helping with the transitions over to our auctions.
One thing you mentioned, especially with things like telegraph keys, if you buff them up, or
just a little bit of work, a little bit of shine does magic for the value.
Double the value of them. Yeah. Okay, and just to reiterate what I said before, good idea for a club meeting is to go over this estate planning and get copies of these things and pass them out to the members, or at least give them the website and get them started on this stuff too, because it'll really help out their families when the time comes. Okay, thanks.
And for everybody who's looking for a subject for a meeting,
Here you go.
Thank you, George.
So one more question. So when you collect all this stuff from somebody donates it to the club, where do you put it?
Okay.
If you don't have your own clubhouse.
The best thing to do is on that strip shack, you have the people who want to buy this stuff. They take it away right there. So you're left with just a minimal amount of stuff that you have to take care of. And it's usually, we've done that, and we've usually cut down to maybe 4 or 5 cardboard boxes of stuff that we'll need to.
Takes it to their home.
Yeah, right. Just store it in the garage or something. Yeah.
he's going to wait for the microphone. Sorry.
I have one ham I mentioned when I was doing my talk who's just been diagnosed with early Alzheimer's, who basically donated his stuff to the club because he knew some new ham might want it. I also have a silent key who passed away 3 years ago, and at the beginning of summer, his daughter put everything in his shack into boxes. It had been untouched for 3 years. And I have one of my club members has volunteered to just go through it, clean it, and figure it out.
Yeah.
But I wish we could have got her before she tore it down.
Yeah. The other thing is, be careful if there's old stuff you find, especially tube gear. Let somebody who's experienced in tube gear restoral to be the first one to light that stuff off, because you may that stuff can be dangerous, or you can damage it if they don't know what they're doing. Yep.
Oh, these are
More.
nice.
Yeah.
If you've done this enough times,
Yeah.
you'll learn to triage stuff
Yeah.
right from the very start. And there's a lot of things that in our time period,
Mhm.
we know how that was such a valuable piece of gear way back when.
Yeah.
You can't give it away now.
Right.
So that's basically you triage right from the start.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, George, thank you.
Yep. Here you go.